What is going on, everybody? We are back once again with another edition of Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast. It is Saturday, September 28th. I'm Clark Taylor. I'll be hosting today. I've got a sweet crew with me to break down everything SmackDown, pro wrestling, and in between. First, and certainly foremost, out in New York City, I'm going to send it to the GOAT herself. Megan, what's going on? It has been far too long. Good to see
It
you. How are
has
you?
been. I'm good. It's a rainy Saturday here in New York, but I'm just so happy to be here with y'all. And you know what? Little side note, I was watching the intro and I thought, damn, I'm not on there. So let's start a hashtag justice for Megan to
Yes.
be on the intro. Please and thank you. As Shad would say, the first lady of Wrestling Republic. I would
It's an
appreciate that. Thank
absolute fact. Ben, you're a great graphics guy, but you need to get that one fixed up really quickly. Megan
you.
needs to be in the intro. We know that. That is a great point. Let's stay on the get the hashtag going too. Actually, I like that. Ben, take your time for a second because let's let the hashtag roll as well.
Yes, justice for
let's
me.
do that. Time it perfectly. But let's stay over on the East Coast. Head of opinions, Anthony Ricciardi. New episode is sold separately out, right? Shameless plug. What's going on, Ant?
Yes, absolutely. I saw you Thursday when we recorded that. Megan, it's actually funny you mentioned that because earlier today I was actually talking to Jordy and he said he's not in the graphic either. So
Oh,
I think Tommy might be another one. There's a couple of people that Ben needs to add, at least three
yes.
that I know of at this point. But yeah, so obviously SmackDown happened last night as we're on the road to Bad Blood. It's going to be a jam-packed one next week. It was a solid episode last night, and as always, I always look forward to doing this. And so back to you, Clark, on the West Coast.
Absolutely. I mean, Ben, look, you can't have half the Backstreet Boys and none of the Spice Girls in the intro. This needs to be solved right away.
Yes.
Are you
This
saying
is
Jordy's a Spice Girl?
maybe I actually think I did include him in that one. That's a very good point. Uh, sorry, Jordy. I didn't mean it. Sporty Spice, maybe. I don't know. Actually, I don't know. That's Sporty's my favorite. Always has been. Just, I mean, I like sports.
Yes.
What? Right?
She's
What's not
cool.
to like? Sorry, that's the end of my Spice Girls rant for the afternoon. Let's get right into SmackDown last night, though. It was a fun one. Bayley,
Mhm.
new number one contender, defeats Naomi. Also, the water's starting to boil a little warmer between Nia Jax and Tiffany Stratton.
Mm.
Tiffy looked in trouble on the other side of Nia Jax. The fear in her eyes, I gotta admit, facial expressions wise, I don't want to say sometimes I forget how good Tiffany Stratton is because I do believe she's incredibly talented. But being so young and fresh on the main roster, segments like this, where it's just the little thing, she wasn't the highlight of the segment. It wasn't about just Tiffany Stratton, but just the fear she showed of Nia Jax to make Nia look that good. I was really impressed by. But as far as the title picture is concerned, Naomi looked great in this match. Bayley, number one contender again. Feels a little rinse and repeatish to me. That's just my personal opinion. I didn't have an issue with the match in any way. Megan, I'm going to go to you first, though. What were your thoughts? Bayley as our new number one contender, as well as a team of Tiffy and Nia starting to break down a little bit.
Right. Well, if anybody watched the daily yesterday, they would know I'm 0 for 2. Both of my predictions was incorrect. I definitely had Naomi winning the match. So to wouldn't be to some surprise. I am a little disappointed that Naomi did not win. However, I do think that there is a little story budding between her and Bailey. There was that little, you know, over the shoulder look that Naomi gave as she had left the ring that kind of, gave me the impression that it's not quite over between her. But when we think of the little segment that Naya and Tiffany had starting, off the show, um, Naya is really trying to put some fear in Tiffany. And like you said, Clark, yeah, there was some fear in Tiffany's face as she is getting visibly choked by Nia. But um, I think there is a little hint of there's a challenge within herself that she is starting to show within Naya. At first, it started off that she would do anything for her queen, but now I think Tiffany is starting to show her true colors, or rather, is starting to appear more transparent on camera that she's not going to continue to tolerate this abuse from Naya. And as much as Naya thinks that she is putting a fear in Tiffany, I think she's only pushing her to do the inevitable, which is to cash in on her. So when I think of bad blood, I'm not quite sure who is going to somehow play a part in that match. I don't think it's going to necessarily be a clean, simple match between Bayley and Nia. I don't know if it's going to be Tiffany cashing in or even Naomi maybe attempting to help Bailey in some way and something goes terribly wrong. Um,
Yeah.
but I do feel like there will be some type of interference when it comes down to Naomi and Tiffany, and it's going to kind of bridge off to a whole nother feud.
I think you're absolutely spot on with that. Like, this match reeks of shenanigans
Right,
as far as the payoff is concerned. Like, you have too many factors outside of the match itself at play here. You've
right.
got Tiffany Stratton. You've also got Naomi in the wings, like you said. Maybe even a botched attempt at helping, something like that. I have no issue with to further the storyline. How
Hmm.
we got here, I wasn't totally sure, but I like where we're at right this second. It's kind of
Right.
funny. Like, if you'd have told me this is where we'd be once again a few months ago, I may have complained. But right now,
Yeah,
I think I have less complaints because despite it being a bit of a rematch, right? We've seen Bayley and Nia Jax before.
we have.
Absolutely. It's under a different context here, and there's more layers provided as far as the story's concerned. So I do think that in that way, it's been done justice this time. Although, to your initial point about Naomi, I would have liked to have seen Naomi win
I would
myself
have
as well.
too.
That would have been, it would have been a cool time just to have a different challenger for Nia Jax, for even the simplicity of that. Not I mean, a multitude of reasons, but just the simplicity of that alone.
Yeah, and just briefly before, I'm sorry, Anthony, I just
No, go
want
right
to put
ahead.
in this little thing, but that's why I do feel as though um, Bailey is not going to win because we have
Yeah.
seen Bailey with the title before, because we have seen her and Nia before. So I feel like this is just, I don't like it because I feel like if Naomi had won the match, she wouldn't have had initially had won the title. But I feel like it will make more sense with Bailey winning
Yeah.
because we know she is not going to win the title, but it's not going to be because of her own actions. It will be because of the actions of someone else. It's just,
Exactly.
would it be her enemy or would it be her friend?
Uh, I'm exactly with you on that. It's which of the, it's pick your poison, for lack of a better way
Right.
to put it. Right. It could be either or. Anthony, quickly, I got to get your opinion on this. The women's title picture, obviously what we saw last night. Is it, we talked a little bit about Tiffany Stratton part of it, but let's focus on that for a second. Is it finally time to cash in that briefcase or not? Not just yet.
Just based on how Triple H books, everything's a slow build, and there's a portion of the audience that doesn't like that. They like the instant gratification. I, for one, if you could stretch this out and make it a compelling story, I'm completely fine with it. As far as Bailey and Nia going up against one another again, yes, it's happened before. However, like Megan said, there's additional ingredients to this dish. You now have Naomi in this. She's probably going to play a role. You now have four women in the same storyline, even though technically only one's going for the title. So you can kind of build on that. I agree. There's probably going to be shenanigans. It'll probably eventually lead to a triple threat, is my guess. Naomi, Bayley, and Nia. And that's probably when Tiffy cashes in and pulls off the title. And the three women are left standing there going, what just happened? And Tiffany now has the title. It's probably that's how it's going to go. The Nia intimidation in the back, I loved it because it reminded me, and again, my head's full of pop culture stuff. It reminded me of the old Saturday Night Live skit where Chris Farley was in it with Adam Sandler and David Spade, Gap Girls. And Chris Farley would snap out at different points and like choke David Spade and then go, it's fine. Like, we're good. Like, that's what it reminded me of because, it's this intimidation. She's driving Tiffany to go. Now, granted, Tiffany's the type of character that would cash in on her. But almost when she does do it, she's probably going to end up being a babyface when she eventually does it, which, it probably is going to help her in the long run, as opposed to her cashing in, on another heel. She's going to end up having a nice face run out of this, and the audience is going to like it. And Nia's doing the best work of her career. And Tiffany, although young, has a very bright future. And Naomi and Bayley, they're going to do stuff. They're going to end up winning titles at different points, but it's the women's division is very bright right now.
I have not thought about that Saturday Night Live skit in forever. It's one of the best bits.
Am I wrong?
I'm fine. It's fine.
Yeah,
we're fine.
Anthony just dated us. Oh, he just dated us.
Listen,
so good,
I had it. This is the crew. If I'm going to throw that out, this is the only crew that would know.
But it's totally Farley grabs him. It's fine. It's fine. We're fine. I'm fine.
Yeah. That's what I thought of immediately when I saw that last night.
Yeah.
He does like this. He knows he messed up. He's like, we're fine. Oh my goodness, that's hilarious.
The voice would go deeper. It was the whole thing.
Yes, it's fine.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Okay, we have a bunch of comments to run through really quickly. We've got Crystal Claire with, he loves Tiffany Stratton, but he also loves Bayley more. Okay, that's cool. I like that. I mean, I like both myself, so either way. Bayley would be WWE Women's Champion if it wasn't for Tiffany Stratton. Totally agree. We've also got MDB999, friend of the show with Megan. Love it.
Hi.
Except for everyone else. LOL. Thank you. And then Crystal LeClaire added, Naomi wasn't winning because she only pinned Bayley once. That maybe is fair, but at the same time, Naomi has looked amazing this last year in the ring, bell to bell.
Naomi,
and I think it's deeper than just
TNA. Absolutely destroying people. And I understand that you're a Bayley fan.
Yeah, which is fine.
Naomi,
but it
deserves
definitely
the time more. She deserves the title more.
And Naomi deserves a lot of credit for the run that she's made to get to this point.
Right.
And so to be able to further that momentum makes a lot of sense, at least in my eyes.
It's funny. One last thing, I know we got to move, but like Naomi's run in TNA to me was it helped her dramatically. Like if you look at her and Monet leaving at the same time, I would, to my opinion, Naomi's advanced more than Monet has. If I'm looking at that same gap period,
I could say that.
I would, especially from, I would say like an in-ring perspective, because we've seen a higher work rate.
Yeah.
Right.
And Naomi got to work a more, just different opponents in different styles than she would have had she been in WWE the entire time, just like Mercedes has. But to then sort of round it off in return, to your point, as far as like how much Mercedes Moné has been as big as she's been pretty much since she left. The same, right? She hasn't regressed, but as far as progression is concerned, like I would say Naomi has progressed more. I don't know. That's maybe I'm splitting hairs here. MDB999 said, I literally said the same thing this week, Anthony, all caps. You got to love that.
Yep.
Love the passion, all caps. So he means it. That's all I'm saying. Let's move on to our second segment of the afternoon here. We've got the United States title picture. Carmelo Hayes ties the series with Andrade. So we're finally letting Carmelo Hayes win matches, which I'm stoked about. Let's take a second to celebrate that. Snaps for Melo. We need it. I've been whining about Melo's win-loss record since he's been called up SmackDown, basically, and we'll take a win when we can get it. Absolutely. I got to give credit when it's due. But oh my gosh, that's actually hilarious. I'm sorry, I have to read this comment. He goes, FTV 999 said, nah, she regressed, like super regressed.
She did.
And since we're making pop culture reference, all I could think is we're the Miller's kid that gets the no regrets tattoo. Like she regressed. Like
it's no regrets, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's regrets is how it's spelled. He also added that Melo's gear last night was fire. I couldn't agree more. I like the direction we're going here with Melo and Andrade, as long as Melo wins this series. Do you think that's in the cards for us, Anthony?
It's kind of funny because the past few weeks we've been covering the Vinci thing. And I said last week, I went, people need to stop hitting panic mode. Let things play out. And we're probably guilty of that too. When Melo went down 2-0 to Andrade, I don't think any of us envisioned the best of 7 series. Now, the funny part is they're not actually calling it a best of 7, but they're acknowledging the fact that the series is tied 3-3. And I think this is a smart move because it's giving Melo an actual story that people actually care about. They're giving Andrade a story that people actually care about, which was a complaint for both of them, that they were both brought back, and in Melo's case brought up, and they didn't have a direction. And you're adding the U.S. title picture to it. So you're giving LA Knight a purpose. You're adding intrigue into the U.S. title picture. You're making that title mean something, which is what Hunter did with the IC title with Gunther on Raw. So now they're making the U.S. title matter something. Again, everything takes time to get things, to fix things. When Hunter inherited this, it was a mess for years. So when people were hitting panic mode of going, yeah, but this isn't done the way I want it, let them play out. Let them cook. Now, realistically, I would think it would have probably been a 3-way ladder match. However, since next week they're booking the tag team ladder match, I don't think they're going that route with Melo, Andrade, and LA Knight. I'm curious what direction they will go, because that seems right for the picking for a ladder match. So I am very curious to see where that goes. And if you're able to get 3 people over and a title to elevate all 4 of those things in one story, you're doing something right.
I am with you, and I love the ladder match idea. I'm all over ladder match. This has ladder match written all over it. I'm 100% with you. I do have to read a comment, though, from MDB999 because he made me laugh really hard at this one. I almost spit out my water. Gucci Vani Vinci. I had to read it. Gucci Vani Vinci. That's a tongue twister. It's not easy, but it's Gucci Vani Vinci. He's going to be all right. I like his new gimmick. If his new gimmick is Gucci Vani, I like it even more. Like, give him the name. Let him have it.
Real or knockoff? Because we've discussed this pre-air.
We did off the pre-episode.
Nah, we're not going to do him. It's got to be real. He's from Italy, right? It has to be. I think they feel very strongly about knockoffs. That's more of an American thing.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And speaking of knockoffs, he got me with another one here. I miss Hulk Hogan as champion of America. But
now he bugging now.
Hulk Hogan is way too funny. That's way. I gotta give him credit. That's just clever. That's funny.
I think Hollywood Logan would have worked too.
Hollywood Hulk Hogan.
No, you don't even have to say Hulk. Hollywood Logan.
Is that the Logomaniacs? I'm sorry. That is terrible. Talk about corny humor there. Okay, Bobby Petito also in the comments with this series is greatest Sheamus versus Cesaro in WWE in 2016. I actually thought that was arguably the best series of 2016. So that is definitely that's a big compliment coming from Bobby for sure. Hollywood Logan. See, we're all laughing. Happy Saturday. Okay, let's keep it moving though. Let's talk about Michin versus Piper Niven. We've got a dumpster match on the way here, Megan.
Yes. Next
I mean, anytime I think dumpster match, I think Chainsaw Charlie, rest in peace, Terry Funk, which was
WrestleMania 14. Is that where you're going with this? The Outlaws against
that was
Cactus
just
Jack and
that was just Terry Funk wearing like a nylon on his head, right?
Yes.
I'm pretty confident. Yeah. And carrying a chainsaw, which is very funky of him, I would say. But yeah, the New Age Outlaws pretty much put him and Mick Foley in a dumpster, locked that thing up, tied it up, and shoved it off the stage.
Yes.
And that is, anytime they say the words dumpster match, that's where my brain goes. There's no way that that's where this is going. Is it, Megan? There's no way.
I know when it comes down to Chelsea, she is the comic relief. And, I could kind of see where this match is going to end, which would be her being thrown in a dumpster. But it's like you and Anthony has brought up. There's something very unpredictable when it comes down to Paul's storytelling. And a lot of people was upset that, me being one of them, was upset that Chelsea did not win Money in the Bank. So I'm wondering if this is going to be her victory match, if this is going to be her match where she's not putting people over, that she's the one that get puts over. But what does that say about Michin, especially after her feud with Jada Parker and helping to push her up? So, I wonder who out of the two is going to push the other up when it comes down to this match. But for the match last night between Michin and Piper, with Chelsea being there again, being the comic relief, um, I'm glad that we are using Piper to an extent where she is not just the sidekick or the best friend of the comedian, because at some point that's what I felt like Piper was. Like she wasn't wrestling. And anytime you saw Chelsea, you saw her. Like she wasn't being utilized to the point that I thought she should be used. And Nia looked strong last night. Piper, she's old. She has definitely improved. Well, not improved, but she has definitely impressed me in the ring. I wasn't really paying attention to Piper all too much, especially as Dewdrop. So it took me a while to like really, pay much attention to her. But after her match at Clash at the Castle, I really see Piper as the powerhouse that I feel that she is. So I thought that was a really good match between them two. But as in for this match next week between Chelsea and Mia, that's just where my thoughts is. Like, who is going to push the other one over? I know it's gonna be a highlighted match. I know there's gonna be a lot of funny moments throughout the match. But as much as I love Michin, I kind of hoping that this is Chelsea's match. I hope this is the match that really pushes her over and puts her in more title opportunities.
I love it, and I agree, and I'm excited for the match next week. I thought this was fun last night. Anthony, you said you had an idea regarding Chelsea Green.
Yes.
So I did want to ask you about that.
Yeah. I think this is one of those things that we're loving that Michin's finally getting recognition. They're finally using her. I agreed with you. I thought Chelsea should have won Money in the Bank. But what I think you can do, because it would fit with the Chelsea character because of how out there she is. I think you could have Michin win this. And then the next week, Chelsea comes back all disheveled, holding the Divas title that she claims she found in the dumpster. And you could have her carrying that, eventually leading to a point where somebody like Michin beats her for the title. And they then change that title into the secondary women's title that there's been a rumor that they wanted to do. That's how you could possibly introduce it, because Chelsea's delusional enough to go, I found it in the dumpster. I'm Divas champ. I don't care that you said you won. I'm the champ. I think you can kind of play that up. I think
It's not.
that would weirdly work with her.
It's ideas like that that makes me wonder why you are not in the room,
Yeah,
Anthony. Like, because
that's
I
a
mean, it would
good
make sense.
idea.
It's not something I would have thought of, but it's just like you said. Like Chelsea is, she rears in and out of reality when it comes
Yes.
down to
Yes.
her, to the things that she say, and for her to lose that match, like you said, and then miraculously finds the old diva title, that's been thrown out, or whatever, and to actually walk around with it. I don't think there's anyone currently on the roster that could play that as
Other than her, yeah.
Yeah,
well as her.
and in a
Absolutely.
weird way, you also have like a double whammy where it's kind of a wink and a nod to Alundra Blaze and Medusa. Like she found it in the
Yeah.
dumpster in a
Yeah.
weird way.
Mhm.
Like it's not exact, but
Yeah.
it just as like if we're gonna get even nerdier in wrestling
Yeah.
history,
Oh
like
yeah.
it just like
She,
the little stuff like that, it works. It's such a
and
brilliant idea. I was like, yeah,
and Chelsea can also, speaking of Alondra Blaze, she could even wear Alondra inspired gear
oh,
and going
100%.
and going, I'm doing this in memory of my favorite, and I believe Medusa slash Alondra, whatever you want to call her. I believe she's still under a Legends deal, so they could bring her in for the whole thing, and
Oh,
like,
Yeah.
great.
and you could picture her saying like, "Honey, you're delusional." Like, like
Yeah.
you're like you could play this whole thing up.
Or I mean, how about like the one liner like that? I put the belt in the trash can. You took it out of it. Like
Yeah.
just like I mean, like little stuff like that. There's so much gold there, and with Chelsea's
It is.
character, it just fits. Like from an entertainment standpoint, it's
And
it's
you
perfect.
logically bring in the secondary title that way because it could
Absolutely.
turn into whether it's the U.S. title or some other title they call it. Like
Yes.
that's how you could do the SmackDown one.
Oh, that's
Right.
actually a good idea too. That's also you could introduce,
So
like you said, a mid card title.
so the Divas title would eventually become that when somebody legitimate like Michin beats her and go and
Mhm.
listen.
Boom.
This is not really.
Yeah, let's
you
get
know.
a new belt.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Make this for real now.
Yeah.
I like where our heads are at there. I
That.
almost missed a full ad read. Before we do that, just in case this is the actual Scarlet, like as in like the one, like married to Karrion Cross and stuff, I
Mhm.
will acknowledge it. But if it's not, I'm never acknowledging it again. If that's you though, Scarlet, consider it acknowledged. Really quickly though, I'm gonna do an ad read. Let's talk about our friends over at Next Level. If you haven't checked them out yet, download the app. It's absolutely free, no gimmicks whatsoever. Go to nxconnect.me/Wrestling Republic to see all of our content across all platforms linked all in one place. It's really easy. There's other wrestling creators on there. I wouldn't check them out as much as I would check us out. But if you exhaust all of your resources watching and reading all of our stuff and you run out of stuff, there are other people on the app as well. And you're free to check them out afterwards. But yeah, once again, head over to nxconnect.me/Wrestling Republic. All of our content, one place, no gimmicks, absolutely for free. Okay. Let's get into the main event, our main event, the main event, all of it of the evening. We've got Cody Rhodes involved in some shenanigans with Mr. Kevin Owens, his not accountability buddy, but I did love that when MJF was doing that with Shawn Spears. Accountability buddy made me laugh every time, and I feel like these guys are a little bit accountability buddies. They're holding each other accountable. And we've got obviously the bloodline. They go over at the end of the night. Randy Orton playing mediator. Who had that on their bingo card in September of 2024? What in the world? The Viper? The guy that's got voices in his head as being the voice of reason? Which of the voices in his head is giving the reasons?
I'm sure one of them's got to be a therapist.
I'm just saying, like, at the end of the night, what do we get? The Care Bears are back together. They hug it out. Gosh darn it. I thought it was really corny at the end. I was like, somebody punch somebody. I was begging for a fist to be thrown. Not because I don't understand why they had to hug it out or why the show ended with that. but I just wanted them to hit each other. And so, yes, they accomplished something. Next week, please go back on your hug and punch each other or something. I'm asking politely when it comes to that. The end of the day, though, I get where this story's going. And if you'd have told me when Kevin Owens was the reluctant challenger, that I would be excited to potentially see another Cody Rhodes, Kevin Owens encounter, I would have told you BS. No way. But I am now. They got me again. They did it again. Megan, what were your thoughts on this? Obviously, it's got big ties to the bloodline. We got Survivor Series coming up. Got Bad Blood,
Yeah.
like right here, basically. Where do you think all of this goes? Just give me your broad stroke. What do you feel about KO and Cody, Randy's role in all of that, and just how close the bloodline is to that entire storyline?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I did not appreciate the disrespect that Kevin was showing to his champion. Embarrassing him in front of all those people. Then when Cody came back to try to smooth things out, he just shoved them off like an annoying little brother. I'll talk to you later. I don't want to talk about it now. I felt disrespected for Cody. And it I honestly I felt like the evil Kermit. I don't know if anybody follows me on Twitter, but I definitely was tagging Cody in some tweets, and I told him, look, I will be perfectly fine if you just blacked out on Kevin. You shouldn't be tolerating this type of disrespect. You are the champion. You fought for 2 years to get to this point, and all because you chose to take the higher road. Kevin is turning on you, and it's been showing for the last couple of weeks that Kevin is not really in this friendship as much as Cody is. That's what it's giving. And I don't know if this is going to, I think it'll be too easy to expect Kevin to turn on Cody. I think that would be way too predictable. I think that at some point, like maybe even stemming back from the little promo between Roman and Cody last week at in Atlanta, there's a level of underminedness when it comes down to Cody. Like I feel like there's people in the locker room that is not necessarily showing Cody the same level of respect as they may have had for Roman. And I think at some point, Cody is going to get fed up. He had it with Roman, as he had told him when Roman came out and he was talking about this is my show, this is my company, and Cody had to come out. He had to tell him, look, it was, it's not anymore. And then when they had the promo in the football field, same thing. Roman let him know, yeah, we could get along during this match, but after this match is over, I'm coming back for my title. And Cody had to tell him, like, hey, you're not going to take this title from me. If you want it, you're going to have to fight for it, but you're not just going to take it from me. And I feel like if you look at Cody's expressions and the way his body language, like when Kevin was telling him, yeah, don't worry about it, you already got your match with them at Bad Blood, this is between me and Randy, you can see that there is a level, I don't want to say it's defeat, but you could tell that there is a level of, I'm not appreciating being talked to in this level, I'm not appreciating being talked to this way. um So with Randy being the mediator between them two and kind of forcing them to hug and make up, I think that was just like a temporary fix. At some point, Randy is not going to be there, and Cody is really going to jump up in Kevin's face and ask him, "What is the problem?" Um,
Yeah.
and honestly, I've been saying it for months. well, not months, maybe. Well, maybe. I've been calling for Cody to turn heel. I want him to go full black with the hair. I want him to just
Yep.
tap into his darkness and just
Homelander.
be, yeah, like, forget the kids. Like, I understand you
Yep.
love the kids, but forget the kids. I want you to be
I actually
the
think it'd be
champion.
gnarly if he still acted like he liked the kids, but he was like so narcissistic he didn't even realize that people
Maybe
like
they can like
he
have
still
his
in his own
title.
mind believes that, but he's delusional.
Maybe, or they could play it off like, okay, really, really quickly. Remember, Jimmy said he didn't want Jay to win the title because he didn't want the title to change him. What if
Right.
the title ends up changing Cody? Slowly,
I
you
like
start
that.
seeing an attitude change. You start seeing him being less himself, maybe more aggressive. And it might
So
start from Kevin, a friend that is
Megan,
slowly starting to,
to add
turn
on to
on
the
him.
idea, think about like Cody's talks about wanting to reintroduce the old Winged Eagle belt, a
Yeah,
different belt. As the character evolves, that's how you can maybe introduce a new title. And from a merch perspective, that makes a ton of sense. There's a lot there where like there's a lot of possibilities there. Now, one thing I will say when it comes to this whole situation, I do understand a lot of Kevin Owens' side of this. Like
mm,
he was there at WrestleMania 39, night one, in the main event, chasing off the Bloodline, the Usos,
right.
winning those tag titles with Sammy. The next night, in a losing effort, when the run-in happens, who had Cody's back to run them off? Kevin Owens. Did it again at WrestleMania 40. Yes, Kevin and Sami Zayn, when the Usos initially ran in before Solo Sikoa hit the spike at WrestleMania 39, Anthony. Yes, Kevin and Sami stopped them. 39. That's
not
what I
at
said.
40. Yeah, but
I
you
said
said
at
40.
39.
You said
At
again at 40.
40, Kevin Owens was involved in the main event.
No, he wasn't.
Was he not? He was one of the
No,
Romans,
he
I
was
believe.
not. I was there. No.
There was Seth.
It was Seth. It wasn't
Jimmy and Jay,
along the way.
Cena, Taker,
That's right.
Seth.
Okay.
Okay.
Either
39.
way, my point is 39. Yes. He was there. He's been there for
Right.
Cody along the way. He's tagged with him
Absolutely.
1,000 times. Mm-hmm. And not only that, part of it is it's all been at the behest of Roman Reigns. And on this huge occasion, huge borderline main event level tag match, if not the main event tag match, he picks Roman and not KO.
Well,
that I can see from KO's perspective, at least,
Kevin
where you might be a little like, I'm not going to be here when the big bad wolf eventually blows the house down.
Kevin has to understand that he's not doing this to defend Roman. He's not Roman's friend. What he is doing, he is establishing dominance. And I think in Cody's mind, he feels as though Roman needs him. So it might be an ego thing because the way that they was trying to set it up, who is going to help Roman? We're going to put you two together. We don't want to work with each other. And then at the end, Cody came out. So it's not so much that he wants to help Roman. I think it's a matter of you're not going to be able to beat them by yourself. You're going to need me to do it.
And to your point, I think that's what makes this whole main event picture and like the murkiness of it so fun is it's very logical from Cody Rhodes' perspective. He wasn't trying to mess Kevin Owens around by tagging with Roman Reigns, not in any way. But if you're Kevin Owens, through the lens inside of the context of the show, you could easily be like, well, wait a minute, why would you pick him and not me?
Same thing with Sammy.
And so you've got that Sammy.
Same with Sammy. Mm-hmm.
Heck, Randy at the end of the day can be a little like, whoa, didn't I bring you along in Legacy? Didn't I, show you the ropes and do all that? Wouldn't you pick me? I'm the 13-time champion, right? Or whatever, 14, however many he's up to. It's in the teens. And like, why not me and stuff? There's a lot of layers there. And that's what I really like about this. Right. And it's why it's fun to even speculate on the idea of could Cody turn heel or when or why? Because there's a lot of things that can spider web off of the point we're at when it comes to the bloodline, Cody Rhodes, and the title picture over on SmackDown. Anthony, obviously, we've left you waiting in the wings chomping at the bit for this one. So give us your thoughts when it comes to the whole situation. Who do you think main events, though? Do you think it's the tag match? Because this, not to get ahead of ourselves, we broke down SmackDown
for Bad Blood.
Bad Blood. Do you think it's the tag match? Don't get into the Raw side of it, and really quickly if you do think it goes the other way. But it's hard to believe that Roman Reigns isn't going to close the show.
I think that this is what it's going to be. I think the tag match and the Hell in a Cell match are the bookends of the show. So whichever one opens the show, the other one's closing it. Personally, from a storyline standpoint, I would think the Hell in a Cell makes the most sense to close it out. But I don't see Roman. The story was always Roman prefers either opening a show or closing a show. So I could see him opening the show. I could see the tag match opening the show. Because I can't see it opening with the Hell in a Cell. Because what follows that? There's too much story there. The great part about this whole bloodline story, and I said this last week, when everything's said and done, when this thing's finally done, whenever that is, looking back on it, how many people came out of it and how many stories came out of it, there's never been anything like this. This is probably the greatest story, long-term story that's ever been told because of how much things branched out of it. The great part about this is Randy, we know Randy. Randy's the Viper. Randy will slit anyone's throat to get a title. So at some point, a potential heel turn's there. Kevin Owens, same situation. It's a lot along the lines of, I think the perfect example might be Walking Dead. The big bad guy for a couple seasons was Negan. He led a horrible group. He was the leader until he eventually got, the group got disbanded. But in this case, it's the equivalent of, Kevin Owens was Cody's friend, his backup against the big bad bully. And now Cody wants to be friends with the bully to take on the old gang. It doesn't make sense from that perspective. So I can understand why KO would want to turn. Cody, like Megan said, is not exactly viewed at the same way that he wants to get viewed. That title, John Cena told Cody when he won it, that weight's on your shoulders. It's a completely different animal, almost like Gollum with the ring. It's now he's entrenched in that title. He wants the respect. So he could easily turn heel and go Homelander. And the thing with Homelander is he doesn't think he's the bad guy. So Cody could totally play that, as he's a big fan of Homelander and that show. You can go that direction. The only thing that I think could potentially impact all of this is, and has nothing to do with in story, but KO's contract status and what The Rock's going to play in this whole thing, because we know the final boss is coming in. So the most likely person to turn, it's probably either KO or Orton, more than likely Orton, because I think they may go that route somewhere, either at the Rumble or possibly at Mania, depending upon the way this shakes out. But it's interesting because any of those three could turn on the other. So that is an intriguing part that we're not typically used to, where it's usually like, oh yeah, Randy's definitely turning, and you don't suspect the other two. But in this situation, any of the three could turn on the others, and you understand the reasoning, which is a crucial point in storytelling. You got to give the people a reason, not just a turn.
It's a great point, Anthony, and I'm 100% with you. And what you said about The Rock is spot on. And this is where it's really fascinating to me, because personally, and this may be selfish, right? You can't always get what you want, like isn't that the Rolling Stones? But if you try, sometimes you get what you need. Like, The Rock and Cody makes the most sense down the road, and heel Rock, babyface Cody on paper right this second makes the very most sense. Personally, selfishly, when they pulled the trigger on Orton Cody because of the history, we were told to finish the story for a couple years and loved it. And it was great. And it's a 40-year story. You will never get that in wrestling again.
Nope.
Never. Like that won't happen again.
No.
But if you're looking for a really intertwined story, Cody and Randy's there. And if we get to a spot where Cody runs out of challengers, and for lack of not to be too corny puns wise, but there's only one snake left in the grass, and it's been the viper the entire time. There's only one predator there.
The great
I
part,
would rather it that way than along on the road to the Rock. That's just selfish.
the great part with the Randy thing is, as of right now, his health's great. So you're not against the clock to pull that trigger at this given moment. It's all pending on the Rock's availability, which is, it's unfortunate that they're kind of held hostage to this, but at the same point, that's it. If you're getting Cody Rock on Mania, that's a marquee match. I mean, not that Randy
and as much as it's frustrating to your point, absence does make the heart grow fonder.
Yeah,
cliches and all. Yeah, it's just true.
Do we really think it will be The Rock and Cody and not The Rock and Roman?
I think I think Rock and Roman's next year. I think it's 42.
I think that would make sense too.
You think?
I think there's right. I
think they're almost interchangeable.
Because I feel like Vegas would be the perfect setup.
Yeah, but when you think about it, Cody Rock pretty much started in Vegas with the slap.
Honest to goodness, and it would feel like a bit of a cop out, and we're already over time.
Yeah.
What if they went triple threat?
I don't want a triple threat. To be honest with you,
I don't think I do either. But they might give us the spoon and the poster, and I mean, Paul, at the end of the day, we're still watching.
Do not give us a triple threat. We don't want
a triple threat.
I agree, but I'm just saying we'll still watch for sure. Anthony, I saw your comments, but we're out of time. I'm so sorry. Anthony, I do totally agree with you on like some of the stuff you were saying about Cody and whatnot, but we are completely out of time. Thank you, everybody that commented. Thank you, everybody that's tuned in. We could talk about this the rest of the day, probably the rest of our lives, until everything actually plays out, and then we'll just talk about other stuff. Thank you so much. Scarlett added Jacob Fatu versus Brock Lesnar, which tells me that's definitely not the Scarlett I thought it was. But either way, that brings us to the end of the show. Happy Saturday, everyone. Sunday Night Spotlight coming up tomorrow. Check out Sold Separately. Cheap plug. On behalf of me, Clark, Megan, Anthony, smash that like and subscribe button. We will see you tomorrow. Same time, same place. Noon Pacific, 3 in the East, 8 in the UK, and of course, 9 a.m. in Hawaii. Have a good one. Thank you so much.